For us wrestling fans, the NES has been severely hit and miss in delivering drop-kicking action, with one company in particular delivering the lion's share of disappointments. But when it came to getting over with the fans, there was one game that stood head and shoulders above everything else, and that was Nintendo's Pro Wrestling.
There can only be one.
And what made Pro Wrestling so good? Let's take a closer look. Pro Wrestling was originally released in 1986 on the Famicom Disk System, before being released on the NES in 1987 for the North American and European market. It was Nintendo's first attempt at cashing in on all the high-flying action of the squared circle. It was the brainchild of a sole programmer and designer, Masato Masuda, who would go on to achieve legendary status with his Fire Pro Wrestling series. Masuda's obvious passion and knowledge of wrestling really shines through when playing this NES classic. The aim was to recreate a full wrestling experience for the player, and it does this brilliantly. Just take a look at the way the game is presented. You've got the two guys calling the action at the back of the ring, the cameraman on the apron, the VWA logo in the center of the ring, but the real standout has to be the referee, who just like the real thing, rushes across the ring to count the 1, 2, 3. You can really see the influence that the 1985 arcade game Matt Mania had on pro wrestling. This is due to the fact that the director of Matt Mania, Noriyuki Tomiyama, had been colleagues with Masuda, and I'm sure who discussed who was the better wrestler themselves. Pro Wrestling gives you the option of 6 unique fighters to choose from. First up we have Fighter Hayabusa, who is modeled after Japanese wrestler Antonio Inoki, who managed to set back the sport of MMA about 20 years with his fight against Muhammad Ali. Next up we have King Korn Khan from Korea, who's based off the wrestler Killer Khan. Hailing from Mexico we have the Luchador Star Man, who draws inspiration from the legendary Mil Mascaras. From the USA we have the dark-tanned, blonde-haired Giant Panther, and I wonder who this might be based on. Hailing from parts unknown we have the Amazon, because no wrestling game is complete without the creature from the Black Lagoon. And last but certainly not least, hailing from the USA, my personal favorite, the one, the only. Once you've chosen your wrestler, and it better be King Slender, you set your sights on the VWA Championship. And once you step through the ropes onto the canvas, each wrestler has a variety of moves to choose from. These range from your standard punch and kick attacks, which you typically use at the start of the match to wear down your opponent. And once they're worn down, you can deliver a more complicated move such as a brain buster or a pile driver, before unleashing one of the wrestler's unique finishes. And in the case of King Slender, it's the backbreaker, which is certainly a lot more hygienic than the Amazon's Piranha Bite. There is also some running attacks, and you can even jump off the top rope. On the way to the championship, you must defeat your opponents in one of 2 ways, either by pinfall or a 20 count out outside the ring. And once you defeat all the wrestlers in the game, you're awarded the VWA Championship.
The world's heavyweight wrestling champion.
But the fun doesn't stop there, as no champion can call himself the champ without defending his title. And once you successfully defend your title against each of the characters, you unlock the final boss, the Great Puma. Both the Great Puma and King Slender square off in the center of the ring for the final match.
Ladies and gentlemen, the